It's been a quiet week in Wakulla County. We had a little rain at the beginning of the week, and we really needed it too. People are putting in their winter gardens, their kale, their collards, their cabbage. Also, we got a new person moved into the county from up north, up in Cape Cod. Do you know Esther Higgins? She cooks over at River Spring School. Well, she has a cousin, and she's been living up in Cape Cod, and so you're kind of, well, you know what it's like up north. It gets cold in the winter, and your boyfriend dumps you, and after a while, you just want to go someplace else, and if you have a nice aunt like Esther, she'll say to you,
"Well, honey, why don't you move down to Wakulla County? You know, the air is clean here, and, the condos and the developers haven't ruined this place yet. It'd do you some good."
And so she did. She moved down. And Esther was driving her to the beautiful little cottage that she had found for her kind of off Route 98 near Panacea. Going down the sand road, and there was a site that's familiar to all of us. In fact, you guys know Woody's place, don't you? Got a single wide trailer on it. And it's got a nice 24-foot bass boat sitting right out there in the front yard, and it's got a fully naugahyde bark lounger also out in the front yard. And it has one of those giant trucks that's sitting up on the really big wheels. Well, she'd always looked at it and it was just normal, but she suddenly saw it through her niece's eyes. And all she could think to say was,
"Well, welcome to Wakulla County, sugar."
She gave that a minute to sink in, letting her niece look at it. And then she added, she said,
"Oh yeah, well that's Woody's place over there, He's kind of a recluse, but don't pay any mind to what people say about him. He's essentially harmless."
Essentially harmless, the words echoed in Caroline's mind. And suddenly, unbidden, she heard a tune. She blocked it right out of her mind. They drove up the driveway. Oh my goodness, the cottage was absolutely lovely. It had a big old grandfather oak overhanging the roof. She had the most restful, peaceful night that night. She went into the cottage and she cranked up the aromatherapy fountain. She made herself a cup of Earl Grey. And she climbed into bed and she pulled up the covers. And from outside she heard the sound of crickets and frogs. It was a regular hallelujah chorus of Wakulla County. She woke up in the morning completely refreshed. She made herself a cup of espresso. She went out to her porch. And sitting on the front porch, there was a big old hound dog. Suddenly, she took in the entire scene as if for the first time. The drooling dog, the sand road, the chair-like object next door, the single-wide trailer and the giant truck, and she said, "Oh my goodness, if this is the South, I gotta paint it." Just as she was holding this thought in her mind, she heard the truck start up next door. It backed down about it. Turned the corner, boom, came up to her house, and she saw behind the wheel a man with green, squinty eyes, a real weather-worn face, and a hat with a tractor on the front. She heard a loud, good, huh? And then a voice said,
"Come on, Jimbo."
That dog jumped from the top step right into the back of the pickup truck, landing among the scrap lumber, the crushed beer cans. It eased itself down and made itself right at home. And then the man said,
"Well, howdy, neighbor. I'm Woody. I see you already met old Jimbo here."
Caroline wrapped her robe tighter around her naked body. And she said, "Hello, my name is Caroline. I'm very pleased to meet you." Wait a minute. How about tonight?
Go. Bye.
Darn. I was going to invite him over for Chablis. Oh, well. She pulled out her easel. Then she got her biggest canvas. She began to paint. She painted all day. Into the late afternoon, the sun was dropping behind the trees. She was still painting. When she finally lost light, she brought the canvas inside. And she went to bed a very happy woman. And then, you know how those storms flow in from the Gulf in the middle of the night sometimes? Well, started out kind of quiet at first, but the thunder got bigger, and the lightning began to crackle. Suddenly, there was a huge and horrible sound. It was a limb from the giant grandfather oak landing on the roof of the house, and it broke a hole right through the roof, and the rain began coming in. And the wind. And then the light went out. Suddenly, a huge gust of wind came in, blasted the front door open. It was just beginning to be light, and Caroline could see a dark silhouette of a man standing in the door, and behind him, a hound as big as the hound of the Baskervilles. And the man was holding in one hand a chainsaw. It was like a scene out of one of them teenage slasher movies. She was about to faint dead away when a hand grabbed her arm and a very gentle voice said,
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to frighten you.
Oh my goodness, Woody, is that you?
Yeah.
And your dog, Jimbo? By 10:15, Woody had that entire tree cut up into stove-sized chunks, stacked out back. He had put a nice tarp over the roof. Ooh, everything's great. He went to his truck to load his tools. He turned around, and it was at that moment that Caroline got her first ever look at a genuine Southern Bubba butt crack. And she said, Oh, Woody, would you like to come in for some tea?
Well, that's mighty kind of you, ma'am.
While Caroline was boiling the water, preheating the pot, getting out the little silver ball that you put all those leaves in, Woody was kind of cruising the cabin, checking things out, when he happened to see the canvas. And there, in postmodernistic strokes, was his old Pigmont truck. Every dent done in a post-impressionist style. And in the back was the unmistakable likeness of Owner Jimbo. And he had 2 silver lines of drool coming out of the corner of the just painted so delicate. It was like a Picasso-esque version of dog with drool. And he said,
That's a mighty pretty picture, ma'am.
Would you mind not calling me ma'am anymore? My name is Caroline.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay.
Well, that was a couple days ago, and you know, they've been getting along pretty well. I hear that the two of them have signed up for a Tai Chi class together in Crawfordville. So, you know, next week when we check back in with you, we'll let you know what's going on. And that's all news from Wakulla County. Well, we're running, we're fish, we're fighting, and at least 50% of the musicians are above